Goeiemôre aan almal vanoggend hier vergader. Good morning to everyone this morning. It's such a fantastic event this morning. We're officially opening the university for 2016, and I'm certainly looking forward. 2015, sorry. You see, this is part of my portfolio. I keep looking to the future. So it's actually 2015's official opening. Everyone, welcome. It's fantastic to see so many of our staff and students here this morning. I'm certainly very excited about 2015. I think we're going to have a fantastic year. We've got some things in place, and I'm looking forward to what the year will play out to be, and I'm looking forward to all the achievements of our staff and students. It's going to be a good one. So welcome to all staff and students. Then a special word of welcome to our Vice Chancellor and Rector, Professor Jonathan Jansen. A special word of welcome to the Chairman of the Council, the Honourable Justice Ian van der Merwe. The Vice Rector Operations, Professor Nikki Morgan. The Vice Rector External Relations, Dr. Joyce Mageta. The Vice Rector Academic, Dr. Liz Lange. The Acting Registrar, Ms. Elna van Pletsen. The campus head of the Kwakwa campus, Professor Prakash Naidu, the acting campus head, South Campus, Danila Kutsia, and the UFS council member, Mr. Derek Foster, who's also joined us on stage this morning. Then I'd like to welcome the deans of the faculties. Specifically, I'd like to welcome Professor Caroline Nicholson and Professor Sechaba Mahlo-Moholo, who are the two new deans, and it's their first occasion or first official attendance of this event. Then I'd also like to welcome the Acting Dean of Student Affairs, Ms. Cornelia Farson, and the President of the SRC, Ms. Mo Salatiani. We're going to start the activities this morning with a performance by V Chords. Hulle sing I Was Here van Beyoncé in 'n eie gecomponeerde werk wat handel oor koffsies. V Chord is a group of singers dedicated to sharing their stories through their music. They've created and performed in various genres in different languages across our globe. These 7 koffsie students say that they believe that the music that they perform help them to grow as individuals and also to share their memories with the audience. So we're looking forward to their performance.
See ukuba ngabantu abathanda abantu. Yabona xa ufika apha noba usivile sitsho kuwe sithi only a cops knows the feeling. Yabona this means manswe aw ablala hore loko ufika eCoffsiland ufika ekaya ra le kule na le kaya. We mean a home away from home. You see, you are amongst like-minded people. Vanhu vofana na wena. You see the calm zayo, the feeling esithetha ngayo. Sibonakala xana uzidla when you proudly say ubanyani. Only a cops knows the feeling.
Thank you to these incredible, talented students. We're always amazed by how talented our students are. We're here to actually listen to our rector this morning and get some understanding of his vision for the next 5 years for the university. So without any further ado, Professor Jansen.
You should never applaud until you hear the speech. Goeiemôre dames en here, collega's, studente. Baie hartlik welkom en veral ons collega's op die Kwakwa campus en ook op die Suid campus. Ek is baie dankbaar dat julle so vroeg opgestaan het, die van julle wat nie van die Vrystaat is nie, om hier te wees. Die res van die mense staan baie vroeg op. En baie bly dat jy die tyd maak om te luister na hierdie rede en veral die direksie wat die universiteit wil inslaan oor die volgende paar jaar. Justice van der Merwe, Mr. Foster, members of council, members of Senate, Ms. Litiana and the team from the SRC, students, our support staff, our academic staff, to all of you, a very warm welcome. Now, this university is, in the first place, about what we've come to call the academic project and also about the human project. And as you know, when it comes to the academic project, we attempt to set the highest standards for students and in particular for incoming students. And I am delighted to share with you that in the audience today we have a young woman. She's doing a Bachelor of Accounting from Kimberley. It was one of the top students in the country in the recent 24 grade 12 exams. I would like to ask Chantel Groenewald to stand, please. Waar is hier, Chantel? Please give her a warm round of applause. So you see, you thought there's nothing good that can come out of Kimberley. And here we have this absolutely wonderful young woman, Chantal, baie welkom hier by ons. The academic project is important to us because a university stands or falls, as I will describe later, by the quality of its academics. Everything else is really, you know, the eerstejaars verwelkoming, die atletiek, all of those other things we do is important, but not critical to the life of a university. What is absolutely critical, the only thing that matters, is the quality of the academics. That's it. And that's the only reason why we're here. And so, one of the most prestigious scholarships in the country and in the world is called the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship. And I'm very, very happy to say that at least one of the three students, Zola Valeshia, is here today. Zola, where are you? Our Mandela Rhodes Scholar, a warm round of applause. He is also one of the most well-dressed men on this campus, as my daughter reminded me. One of the other things we are really good about at this university is not just outstanding academic students like Chantel and Zola, but we also make a huge effort to make it possible for top students in our country who are academically smart but do not have the funds to be able to study at a top university like COFSI's. Last year, we started to develop a relationship with a school called the Hansby Academia, which those of you from the Western Cape will know Hansby. It's a little fishing village outside of Cape Town, and one of the top schools in this country. And last year, we were very privileged to bring to our campus Bianca de Kooker, and we fully funded her as a top student there. This year again, we got the top student from Hansby Academia. She is Andisiwe Wulana. She's just arrived by bus. Andisiwe, where are you? She's probably, if she's from Hansby, she's probably still sleeping. But if you do meet her, please give her a round of applause as well for coming here. And then, you know, as a university, we've worked very hard to undo harm, to undo the damage that we've done in the past to people and to our country. And the way we do that, as you know, is to create opportunities for reconciliation, to bring people together. And I'm really, really excited to tell you that, and I must thank Dr. Joyce Mageta and Prof. Morgan and others for working very hard on this to make sure that the children of the workers who became known as the rates workers, that they are able to enter undergraduate studies and get their degrees so that they are able to stand up and stand strong as they live their lives in South Africa. So I'd like the children, Carol, Monica Adams, Anna Adams, and others, would you please stand, waar is julle? And give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. I'd like to thank Judge van der Merwe, and I'd like to thank all of you for allowing me to take a break. I'd like to give you the good news that I started on the 3rd of November on page 1 of the open laptop, and on the 30th of January on page 275 I finished the book that I started to write and sent it off to the publishers. And the book will hopefully contribute to our research outputs. You see, a rector must also earn his keep. I also want to say this, that the royalties from the book in the first year, which is the highest sales period, will go into the staff bursary fund. Thank you all for contributing to the staff bursary fund for poor students. So if you have any questions about what I did in those 3 months and why, here are some of the reasons. Now, I regularly get calls from people saying, even while I was out of the country, people say, Prof, kom jy terug? I always found that very, very strange, you know. Are you coming back? Is it true that you're not coming back, and so on? And in a beautiful turn of phrase, somebody sent the question to the university. This is one of the most beautiful Afrikaans expressions I've ever heard. Gerugte doen die ronde. Isn't that beautiful? Gerugte doen die ronde. That's untranslatable into any language, you know. Gerugte doen die ronde. Of course, gerugte don't walk by themselves to do the rondes. But no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. And the reason is because the academic project and the human project is incomplete. I suppose the most vicious rumor, which really hurt me deeply, was the rumor that I had shifted allegiances from the Bulls to the Stormers. I want you to know that is not true. That will not happen in our lifetime. But it is good to be back. I want to start by thanking all of you for especially the hard work that we put in at registration. To every one of you who worked so far to register, the highest number of total students so far for the past 3 years, and also the highest number of students registered on a single day. All of that happened in this January period. Almal wat betrokke is by die registrasie van studente, baie, baie, baie dankie vir die harde werk. Laat ure wat julle gewerk het, dit word gesien en dit word waardeer. So thank you very, very much for that. It's not easy to register students in the summer heat of this part of the country, so thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of those involved in student affairs, residence life, campus security, library and computer services, the campus grounds and maintenance. Campus grounds and maintenance, I just want to tell you, this is now the second day I've come into campus, and I see that as you come into the main gate, there's a huge sort of unevenness in the road. Could you try and fix that today? That would be really wonderful. You know, and to those in sports, to those in communications, strategic communications, every secretary, every cleaner, to all of you, thank you very much. And I really do want to say a special thank you to Nico Jans van Rensburg and his team for giving us such a beautiful campus. There's always building happening, always signs of life. I just come from a campus which looks very much like this, in that everybody is building. And when a campus is building and extending and so on, people have a sense of renewal. So I want to just have you look very quickly at some of the newest buildings on campus, as well as a short video on our other star campus, the Kwakwa campus. If you are an atheist, drive very early to the Kwakwa campus through the Golden Gate Park. You might change your mind. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of creation. I want to thank our two unions, UFPERSU and NEHAWU, for the very hard work that you put in with my management team in reaching agreement twice on the salary negotiations. Now, I don't want to talk about how people misreport this in some of our media, but we have an agreement, as you know, that keeps this university financially strong. And that agreement is that we adjust upwards or downwards the salary increases every year, depending on the subsidy income from government. We are not entirely in control of the revenue stream from the subsidy. Now, we have developed a plan that, yes, there is hard negotiations led by Prof. Morgan and his team, but always coming out with an agreement, always, that once we eventually hear the subsidy, there's an initial agreement, and then once the subsidy levels are announced, there is a final agreement on the salary increases. And you know something? our salary increase was actually higher than some other universities with much more money and much longer histories, higher in fact than Stellenbosch University, and just under that of Pretoria University. So when you hear rumors of great loss and so on, it's not true. All universities can only increase their subsidies, because if you don't, and I made a solemn promise to UFS and to Nehawu, that we will never again, at least not while I'm here, I don't know what you're going to do when I'm not here, but while I'm here, we are not going to lose jobs. We are not going to let any academic at this university lose a job because we mismanaged the funds of the university. And we can only do that if our unions understand that the university does not exist for tomorrow. It exists for the next 100 years. It exists for your grandchildren and great-grandchildren to be able to come here. A university is not like a company that can close and open depending on profitability. A university is an institution, and therefore it exists for posterity. It exists for the long term. And our commitment to you is to make sure that our staff don't have to worry when they go to bed at night about whether they get a job or not, have their jobs or not. I know that happened before at the University of the Free State, and I know those of you who've lived here long enough still have very bad memories of losing friends and colleagues. Well, in this period, we're not going to do that. But the only way we can do that is not to have people play politics with salary negotiations, is not to have people demand things that we can't pay, because if we do, and I have now worked at 4 different South African universities and I've seen some of them go under. And the reason they go under is that when they do salary negotiations, they are driven by populism. Let's eat today and tomorrow. They don't think about eating next week and next year. And so I give you my word, the reason we manage our finances so tightly is precisely because we want to make sure our university remains financially strong. Now, of course, you can't reason that you didn't get a salary increase because we spend the money on fixing X or on a student development program. People who don't know how university funding works would make those wild extrapolations. University funding is determined by the subsidy income. We can only act in relation to that. And so to Frans van der Walt and the team at UFS, I know you work under huge pressure from people who are opportunistic around these negotiations. And to our colleagues at Nahawu, I know you are under huge pressure. I want to thank all of you for putting the university's interests first. And if anybody tells you you got a low salary increase, tell them, well, you know, Stellenbosch has more money, but they gave a lower salary increase. And that's the way in which we survive. So to all of you, thank you very much. And indeed to Prof. Morgan, I know sometimes, you know, he gets hot under the collar with the huge amount of work that he has to do in finance and HR, but he runs a tight ship and is very, very conscious of the requirements of council, and in particular Judge van der Merwe and Mr. Foster, that we cut our suit according to our cloth, or whatever that expression might be. One of my supervisors, or former doctoral supervisors, a very famous political scientist, he's now retired. And he said, and I had lunch with him when I got to Stanford University, and he's now the chairman, the secretary of the Academic Senate. Now, the secretary of the Academic Senate at that university is a very senior position. There, and you watch how one of the most competitive universities in the world make their reputation. So I said to him, Hans, I'm sure this question is asked to you all over the world, but let me ask you, what is the secret to creating a really, really great university? He said, oh, my friends in Europe ask me that all the time, and this is what he said. I want you to listen very carefully. He said, there's only 2 things you need to do. Be very, very picky about who your students are, and be very, very picky about who your professors are. You get that right, and you become a very good university. That is my only aim in working with you as your rector, to do that. Talking about being very picky with our professors that we choose, I want to first of all tell you that we had the great honor, and so did she, Professor Naomi Morgan, who was honored by the French government with a knighthood. Now, I don't quite know how a knighthood works, you know. But Lucius, come over here, please. Because my French is incredibly dangerous. What is this award, Sally? You know, could you just give it a try in your best Free State?
He's putting me now on the spot, and I only know a few French words like Merci beaucoup and Comment ça va, but it goes like this: Chevalier de l'Ordre des Arts et des Lettres. It basically means the knighthood from in the arts from the French government. And if I believe only 2 other South Africans have had this honor, and also the honor for her work in creative translation studies.
Thank you very much, Lotus. Professor Morgan, where are you? Not you, Nikki. Professor Naomi Morgan, are you here? Would you stand, please, so we can see who you are? Thank you, and congratulations. Congratulations. Then, it gives me great pleasure to also tell you that in my field, the field of education, we have never had, in the history of South Africa, an A1 rated scientist. The closest, or the highest rating so far was from a friend of mine called Jill Adler at Wits University, who got an A2. This year, for the first time in the history of South Africa, we have an A1 rated scientist in the field of education. Would you please put it together for Professor Melanie Walker? No. It's also the first woman at COFSIS ever to get an A rating. Yes. And I know somebody said to me, but Prof, aren't you also in the field of education? Jy was uitgestof. If you ever say that in public, I will deal with your bonus. But well done, Melanie. In his absence, also Professor Max Finkelstein from our science faculty, natural agricultural science faculty. He has achieved in the field of mathematical statistics, and he's the only person in that field to have achieved this higher rating, and he got an A2 rating. So in his absence, he's got the flu, so he wrote to me and apologized that he couldn't be here. Could you also give a round of applause to Professor Max? And then Professor Corrie Vatun and a small team have developed the criteria for the first ever scholarly book prize at the University of the Free State. It comes through, it's also, I think, one of the largest book prizes in terms of, financial reward. And the reason we do this is because one of the ways in which we make our money as a university is by encouraging people to write scholarly books, serious scholarly books. And I'm really delighted to say that the 6 judges, internal and mainly external people, decided that this year for the inaugural book award, scholarly book award, with a very interesting book, I don't know what it's called Translation Theory and Development Studies. If you know what that means, let me know, because the subtitle is A Complexity Theory Approach. Now, most people don't do complexity theory because it's too complex, but would you join me and with an award, book award of 75,000 Rand? The first winner is Professor Kobus Marais. Baie geluk, Prof. Kobus. I also just want to mention, before I go on, that we have a growing, in fact, the largest number of NRF-rated scientists in our history, and I'm particularly pleased that we have 5 NRF-rated scientists on the Kwakwa campus, including Professor Jejene and Dr. Mukwada, who are present on the Kwakwa campus via live streaming this morning. And so for the growth in the research performance and indeed the rating of our colleagues on Kwakwa campus, would you also give a round of applause to those? One of the things that one has to do as a scholar is to deal with facts, is to deal with what we know and to use that to plan the future. Now, I am extraordinarily, as I mentioned earlier, pleased with the way in which our team, under guidance from Council, and in particular the Finance Committee and the Investment Subcommittee, deal with the issue of finances. Now, every year, without fail, irrespective of the external environment, we invest 2% of our income and put it away, as my late parents would say, for a rainy day. Because you don't know what's going to happen downstream, you don't know what's going to happen. And so I am hoping that both this rectorate as well as the rectorate that will replace us will continue to do that irrespective, so that over many years, the University of the Free State stands strong. Bestendig, I believe, is the Afrikaans word, in the face of challenges from outside. And that you can only do if you have a very strong financial control regimen. And so I want you to deal with the facts and not with the rumors. I want you to understand that our investment income, for example, grew from 200 million rands in 2008 to double, more than double that, to over 400 million in 2014. That is good for the university because we are also susceptible to changes in the external environment. Our research income, that is the money we are dependent on to do research, and these are competitive grants that we apply for, our staff apply for, grew from one source alone, that is the National Research Foundation, from 26 million rands in 2012 to 56 million rands in 2014, and that is more than double in a very short period of time. And so I can go on. I can talk to you about foundation support, the Mellon Foundation that has just given us the equivalent of 10 million rands to be able, for one researcher, for Professor Pumla Marigizela, to be able to do a research, and on and on and on. And people only give you money if they believe in what you do. They don't give you money because you wrote a good proposal. That helps. But they give you money because they believe in the project of the institution. And I say that to encourage you. I say that so that you too can feel strong about the future of our university. How does a university build its reputation? Around postdocs. And you know that 2 years ago we only had 16 postdocs. And thanks to very wise investments from our colleagues, we now have 70 postdoctoral fellows. Those are the people who become our future professors, our productive researchers, and on and on. This year we have 7 new B-rated researchers, not to be sneezed at, to become a B-rated researcher, including a few B1s. And I'm delighted at the leadership of Professor Vatun. She doesn't smile often, but she drives a hard bargain. And this year she forced me to also put in my NRF application. So I just want you to know, Corley, that it will be done by the 15th of February or whatever the closing date is. And thirdly, not just on finances, not just on academic reputation, but on political stability. You would see in any given year across our country that there is huge political instability on campuses. You even see it now at the beginning of the academic year. And you have no idea how one's stomach turns at 2 in the morning when my SMS light flashes and talks about a crisis in place X or a potential crisis in place Y, my stomach turns because a student is hurting or scared or fearful. And when I came to this university, there wasn't a day that went by that there wasn't a serious upheaval, either on the Takaning Bridge or on the Kwakwa campus or somewhere on one of our campuses. We now have one of the most stable campuses in the country. And the reason we have one of the most stable campuses, and when I say campuses, I mean all three of them, is simply because of the very hard work put in by Student Affairs, by Rudy Bass, who gets lambasted unfairly so often and so personally in some of the media. He has done an incredible job. He has been able to work with incredible student leadership to give us a campus. And a campus that's stable. And just the beginning of this year, so many things could have gone wrong. And then you get people of the character of Mosa Letiane and Waldo Staude, who are able to diffuse difficult situations. This is not something that happens automatically. This is something that happens because of the quality of the student leadership and the quality of the leadership in Student Affairs. And I am very grateful that we can defend a campus in which more and more students are mature, understanding, respectful of each other. Not all of them will be. Not all of them will be, because remember, every year you take in another 5,000 first-year students, and they come from all over the place. Some of them are very angry, and some of them are very bitter with their second-generation memories. And we work very hard through Student Affairs to bring them into communion. And the big difference between now and 5 years ago is that now we have seniors who understand what the Human Project is about, and so on. We would not be where we were today, I promise you, if it wasn't for somebody like Bernard Lowe in JBM, the current prime and last year's prime. If there ever was a South African that I believe is going to lead this country one day into stability and peace, it would be somebody like Bernard Lowe. If you haven't met this guy, meet him. He's inspirational. And many days I sat with him and he was broken, as people from the past tried to steer us back into the past. But Bernard knew that this is not about today. This is about the future. And to him, to Mosa and her team, to previous student leaders, to Rudy Bass, to Cornelia Farson as the acting Dean of Student Affairs, to all of you, thank you very, very much for giving us, because you cannot do research, you cannot teach uninterrupted if your campus is unstable. That I know from experience. And so I'm very grateful for that as well. I want to conclude with the two most important things that will drive the university over the next few years. The first and the most important thing is we're going to be even more picky about who we hire as our lecturers and as our professors. You're not going to get hired because your grandfather worked here. You're not going to get hired because of what you look like. You're going to get hired because you are the best or potentially the best in your field, whether it be biochemistry or sociology or commercial law, whatever your field. We are going to hire the best young people, like we did with Louisa Macapella, like we did with Albert Nell, like we did with Georgia Duplessis. We're hiring, and I get involved with some of these things, the best young people who have the most promising academic careers, because the reputation of the university depends on whether it is picky about who its professors are and about who its incoming lecturers are. A university is not great because it is beautiful in its landscaping, which we are. A university doesn't become great because it churns out huge numbers of research articles. That's important, but that doesn't make you great. What makes you great is the quality of the people who teach. Now, this takes time. You can't just do this overnight. Unless you're fabulously wealthy, you can't just switch on. Yesterday, I did a workshop with master's and doctoral students, and the only reason I do that is because in their number, I know there are some of those who will become Kofsi academics. We are going to be very picky. The rules of the game have changed. We are only going to hire the very best, or potentially the very best, academics, young and accomplished, because this university will only be known by the extent to which it gives us hundreds of Melanie Walkers and Max Finkelsteins and Naomi Morgans. That's the only way you become really great, by being picky about who your professors are. And secondly, yesterday we had several hours that we sat off campus as the senior management to talk about a number of things that need to improve, but one of those things is we're going to be very, very picky about who our students are. As you know, I lead the team in marketing around the country as well as in the region, in Zimbabwe and other places. Why? Because we want the best students in the Free State, the best students in South Africa, the best students in the world to come in here. One of the ways a university can go down very quickly is in an act of rash populism, just to open the gates and say anyone comes in. That's fine. But what happens? Poor people come in, they can't finish their degrees, they're saddled with debt, and the university's reputation takes a knock. That is not going to happen. The kinds of students, the pickiness principle will apply not just to the professors and lecturers, but also to the students. And every day when I walk on campus, like yesterday, I am amazed that students who would never have come here from schools that normally send their kids either overseas or somewhere else, now send their students here. Now that does carry a risk, let me be honest with you. It carries a risk that in the short term, you might have fewer students than if you simply said, everybody come in as quickly as possible. That carries a risk, and my job with the finance team is to keep one eye on the quality of the students and another eye on the sustainability of income. Both those things are important, but ultimately we believe we can win by getting the lion's share of the top students in the country to come to this beautiful University of the Free State and all three its campuses. Those are the two big things. There's a lot of other things that must be done. You know, we're going to this year completely revamp, for example, completely revamp our systems that we think have been broken for many years in administration, from the day a student applies to the day they graduate. I'm not happy with what's going on there. We're going to make major changes, as you will see in the next few months. So all of those things will happen, but that's not why the university exists. The university exists to make sure that its academic reputation stands strong. And that is my promise to you. How do you create, I asked Hans Weiler, a really, really good university? By being picky about your professors and being picky about your students. The second term for any vice chancellor is always more difficult than the first term, I can assure you. And so I ask for your prayers and for your support, not just for myself, but for the team with which I work, because we are in fact dependent on you to make Kofsi's a truly great university. Baie dankie, thank you very much.
Professor Jansen, thank you for looking to the future, but specifically thank you for celebrating all the achievements of our staff and students. To all of the staff that were congratulated at this function, from my side, I'm so proud of A-rated researchers and people who win book prizes that external evaluators look at. But for those of you who were not specifically mentioned at today's function, academic and support staff, thank you for working so hard. Thank you for improving what we do at this university. It's been an interesting ride for me the past few years. In closure, I'd like to ask that we sing the national anthem, and our singing will be led by Jani Maree. Jani matriculated at UNISI and is currently a first year on campus. She's studying drama. Jani het ook verlede jaar by die Juliegrade-plegtigheid die volkslied gesing. And another feather in her cap is that she sang the Spanish Cuban anthem during the graduation ceremony at the South African Cuban-trained medical graduation ceremony that was hosted by the UFS last year. An interesting fact is that Yanni's father, Kobus Mare, received the book prize this morning. So, so it appears as if we've got a talented family on campus. After the anthem, I would like the guests to remain standing so that the procession can leave the hall. And I'd like to invite all of you to please join us for refreshments in the foyer. Thank you so much for attending.
Così si calali Africa, malupagani su ponaloiho, Israelitana soitu, così si calela Tina lo sapolaiho, Murina boluka si chaba sa Jesu, upedi sedin tuale matswenye, o si boluke, si chaba sa Jesu, si chaba sa South Africa, South Africa. Ai di blauw van onze hemel, ai die diepte van ons Heer. Hoor ons Heer.